that better?
Yep. Yes.
Oh, you are so good. Sorry about this. We had the audio working like 30 minutes ago, and now it doesn't want to play for you. We're going to see if y'all can hear it off my laptop and this microphone. Well, we're going to skip it. So, the point of that video was, however, that was our president and CEO, Matt Kennedy, and he was on Greta Van Susteren a few weeks ago at the very beginning of August.
Can you turn that up a little bit?
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Fingers crossed this works. All the way through. Okay.
In and out.
I don't know. I think I killed it that time. Right. Maybe I should just stand still at the podium. Oh. Down at the circus. All right.
Don't touch it.
You guys made my day. Okay. So, the video that you were going to watch, but we're not going to now, was our president and CEO, Matt Kibbe. He was on Greta, and Greta was asking him about the change in our elected officials and how accountable and accessible they are to you guys from 2010 to today. So we look back to 2009 and 2010, they were having town halls, it was all over the news, you guys were able to ask questions, make comments, they were very, very accessible to you. So what has happened between 2010 and now 2013 for the August recess? And Matt tells Greta that he thinks it's because they're scared to be accountable for the votes that they've made between that time and now, and to talk to you guys about the things that they're promising or not promising to do in Congress. And so he talks to her a little bit. At the beginning of August, when we first asked the congressmen and senators, we called all 535 offices, and we said, are you guys having town halls? If you're having one, send us your schedule. We got like 13 schedules back out of 535. And so we thought, what do we do? Because you guys were telling us, as activists around the country, you wanted to say some things to your elected officials. So we started demandatownhall.com, and we asked everyone to start calling and emailing their elected officials and asking them to hold a town hall. Not an online Google Hangout or a teletown hall or a robocall, but an opportunity for you guys to come face to face with your elected officials and ask them the questions and tell them the things that you're thinking about. Because the purpose of August recess isn't vacation time or trips to Egypt with your friend John McCain. They're opportunities for your elected officials to actually return home and meet with you guys. And to be accountable to you for what they've done the last few months in session, and to also get an idea of what you want them to do when they go back to Washington. Which you may say, just stop going back to Washington because nothing good ever happens there. But Matt, when Matt was on, I know it was 2.5 weeks ago, I think we had 65 at that point. And I'm proud to say today we have more than 240 that have been scheduled thanks to the hard work of people like you guys calling and emailing your elected officials. Not all of them are events where the official shows up. Sometimes we have cardboard cutouts because they're a little scared to arrive. Saturday the 17th, I did one in Dallas for John Cornyn. We had 500 people show up and we were turning them away at the door because they were so mad and they wanted to ask him why he took his name off of the Mike Lee letter, which is part of the reason that we're here today to talk about Obamacare and the impending vote on the continuing resolution. So one of the things that, we're going to turn this over to you guys, but I just want to thank you for doing this, for showing up today, even though he's not here. It's so nice to see that you guys care, and that you guys are willing to have a referendum on healthcare, even when he's not. Or maybe he's a little scared to tell you what he would do about it, because he hasn't agreed to sign the Mike Lee letter. And the purpose of that letter is to commit to not vote for any piece of legislation with any funding for Obamacare in it. And not to buy into all the hype and the excuses that it'll shut down the government and we won't be able to have a military and the roads are just going to fall apart if we don't fund this. It's something that we have to do. It's imperative that we do not fund Obamacare moving forward. So I just want to thank you guys for having this town hall, for accepting Freedom Works back here in Charleston. It's always good to come back. This is my 7th trip since January, so I really like the food and you guys, you're fun. And You can pat yourself on the back. I think I've actually been back here more times than I've been home to Texas, and that's huge. So, but thank you so much, and I hope you guys take this time. We're recording this. It's going nationwide on our live stream. We know that a lot of the places where we've had these, the staff is watching it from home. So be well aware that Lyndsey Graham staff is probably watching tonight. So everything you say, we'll send to them on YouTube. So at some point, hopefully they get to hear it, even though he wasn't here to hear you in person. And with that, I'm going to introduce you to Tara, which many of you guys know Tara. She's a radio personality here, and she's going to get you started on tonight's town hall. But thank you.
Whitney, I want to ask you to stay up here for just a second. I'm Tara Servatius for 1250 WTMA, 5:30 a.m. to 10 in the mornings. But tonight, I am your host for the Lyndsey Graham Town Hall. And I'm a positive person. I'm still hoping that our senator will walk through those doors. I would love for that to happen. I wanted to ask you, Whitney, I know that you went to great lengths, and so did hundreds of people, and you've documented this through your website, to invite Senator Graham to have a town hall. You were willing to do it at a time of his choosing, a place of his choosing, to work with him to put this together, anytime, any place. And tell us a little bit about how you did that and what your response was from folks right here in South Carolina and Charleston.
So we started at our office sending invitations, and we asked him specifically, and again, like she said, anytime, any place, anywhere, we would have done this with you. And our activists, a lot of you in this room, made phone calls, sent emails, called all the district offices, called the DC office, and most of the time we got no response. I did see a couple people who got an email response that Lyndsey Graham wasn't doing this because it was a security threat. Now, mind you, this was like right around the same time he was in Egypt. So he's afraid of golf, but he's hanging out in Egypt with his friends over there. So, yeah, totally sounds reasonable, right? On our website, if you guys clicked to demand a town hall, we had more than 350 people from South Carolina click to demand a town hall, and that's just what was tracked on our site. So that's a lot of constituents that he's ignoring right now and not coming to speak to tonight.
All right, Whitney, great. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. Well, so FreedomWorks did a great job trying to get Lyndsey Graham to have a town hall, and it didn't even have to be with FreedomWorks, but it did have to be with his constituents in some kind of forum where you would be free to ask him real questions. So, in addition to FreedomWorks trying to get Lyndsey Graham to have a town hall, I know Renee Cannon and Linda Enstein with CIA, Citizens in Action, called his office. I know Renee got a hold of the scheduler. We tried very hard to get Mr. Graham to have an opportunity to come and visit with his constituents and allow them to ask him unfiltered questions within reason. Obviously, he can't stay there all night. He's a busy man. He's got members of the Muslim Brotherhood to talk to. He's but just a little bit of his time for his constituents, the way he used to do. Now, Lyndsey Graham has, for the record, had 2 town halls. However, they've been phone-in town halls. I've taken part in those phone-in town halls. You are not allowed to ask him a question unless you are chosen to ask him a question. They're softball questions. They're not the kind of questions I know that you want to ask tonight. And they're highly screened. You don't get to touch him, feel him, see him. You're on the phone, and he's probably in Egypt. So tonight we wanted very much to remedy that, and we've been hoping that Lyndsey Graham would reconsider and that he would show up tonight to talk to all of you, and we still have a little time for that to happen. Now, this whole idea that our senator would be at risk from you folks, some sort of attack, I don't know. Senator Tim Scott has gone to almost every county in this state. Press release out, and he said 47th County. I visited, I don't know what, but 47th County, he has done town halls, he's done forums, he's done barbecues. You can walk up to Senator Scott and shake his hand. I know I have in the last 6 weeks. You can ask him anything, even the hard questions. He's shown up on my show and taken random phone calls from callers not even pre-screened. And he has answers for people, even if they're not answers that they like all the time. And so our question tonight for our Senator Lyndsey Graham is, what, Mr. Graham, Senator Graham, are you afraid of? That's the question. Why don't you meet with your constituents in an open forum, face to face, like you did in Egypt just a few weeks ago with the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood? What is Senator Graham afraid of? Why won't he do this? And again, why can't he do this if Senator Scott is not afraid for his life of you? In fact, he'd like to meet you, like to invite you to come out in public. So with no further ado, and I don't think I'm missing anything else here, I would like to introduce you to our erstwhile Senator, Lyndsey Graham. Well, it's a Pittsburgh version. He's about 40 pounds lighter than me. But we wanted to be fair to him. We wanted him up here looking good. Here he is, Lyndsey Graham, folks. Give him a hand. All right. Well, we had some questions. We tried to take the questions we thought you would be most likely to ask. We're going to have some people down here to ask Lyndsey some questions. And we're going to hear his answers to those questions. So let's go ahead and tee up that first question for Senator Graham tonight. I believe the first question is on the NSA and the spying.
Actually, we've watched all video on you. Are you going to try it one more time?
That one might play.
Try it.
Okay.
Well, Roger? Terry.
One thing we're trying to do in this Patriot Act.
That was.
Okay, let's do this.
Come on
Let's
up.
do the NSA question first. Welcome to the podium, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Terry O'Neill from Bluffton. Senator Graham, we all know that the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution prohibits both illegal searches and seizures, and we now know from recent National Security Administration admissions that the government is collecting emails, phone calls, data from all Americans without specific warrants. Could you explain to us where you stand on the NSA spying scandal?
Let's give Senator a chance to respond. Nope, no response.
One thing we're trying to do in this Patriot Act is to find out about terrorist organizations and individual terrorists, who they may be talking to.
Again, I'd say that's an over.
I hope American people appreciate war, because I sure as hell do. I hope the American people appreciate that the way you protect the homeland is you try to find out what the enemy's up to. I'm a Verizon customer. It doesn't bother me one bit for the National Security Administration to have my phone number, because what they're trying to do is find out what terrorist groups we know about and individuals and who the hell they're calling. And if my number pops up on some terrorist phone, I'm confident that the FISA court is not going to allow my phone calls to be monitored by my government unless you and others can prove to them that I'm up to terrorist activity to a probable cause standard. So I may come out differently than my colleagues on this. This was created by the Congress, and if we make mistakes and we've gotten outside the lane, we're going to get back inside the lane. But the consequences of taking these tools away from the American people through their government would be catastrophic. So you keep up what you're doing, and if you've gone outside the lane, you fix it. President Bush started it, President Obama's continuing it, we need it from my point of view.
All right, since that clip, the Wall Street Journal over the weekend wrote a story that 75% of Americans' emails are in fact being collected and stored by the NSA, the opposite of what we've been told by Senator Lyndsey Graham and by Barack Obama. Our next question tonight from the audience, I think, is on the First Amendment.
My name is Anita Lampley from Earls Inlet, South Carolina. Senator Graham, the First Amendment of the Constitution guarantees freedoms, especially related to speech and religion. Should free speech be limited at home for the sake of national security?
Let's see. Yeah, no response. No response. It's unfortunate. It was a great question. We have a video on that. We're trying to discern here what Lyndsey Graham might think about these issues. Now you can watch Sean Hannity and you can try to discern that way. The softball questions, you can turn on the television on Sunday and try to figure it out that way. But you can't ask Lyndsey Graham directly. Unfortunately, we can't even get the audio to play, see, so, because you're not going to know that. You want to move on to the next question that we would like to ask Senator Lyndsey Graham tonight. It's on raising taxes.
Senator Graham, the voters of South Carolina elected you to be a conservative senator that would fight to limit government and to keep our taxes as low as possible. What are your views on increasing the tax burden of your state's voters?
Let's see. No response from Lyndsey Graham. No, we did have a response on the video. Do we have the video for that one? It won't play. Okay. And I don't want to try to paraphrase him because I don't want to be inaccurate at all. It's unfortunate, again, that he can't be here tonight to answer that question for Lyndsey Graham. But we will be writing these down and sending them to the Senator's office and hope that someday we too can get answers to these questions. Next question up is on immigration.
Senator Graham, my name is Bill Hanna from Lansing, South Carolina. Your approval numbers have dropped in the state since Numbers USA started running ads detailing your support of comprehensive immigration reform. Why do you choose to stick with John McCain and Washington over the desires of the voters of your state?
Senator Graham.
Great question. Yeah.
A couple interesting things about the state of South Carolina. As you know, we have still, unfortunately, one of the highest unemployment rates in the nation. But the other problem in South Carolina is with people who do not have a college diploma. 4 in 10 people who do not have a college diploma between the ages of 18 and 31 are currently living at home with their parents. Only a quarter of the about 1 million jobs this country has created so far this year are full-time jobs. Those jobs are not going to former blue-collar workers. And this is the question I wanted to ask Lyndsey Graham for the longest time. What do you say to them about having them compete directly with at least 11 million, if not up to 30 million in the chain migration folks who come in here and will immediately begin getting work visas after this bill is passed? I don't know. I guess they'll all move in with their parents. I'm not sure where the jobs are going to come from. If I could ask Lyndsey Graham one thing, that's what I would ask him. Okay, moving along. Next question that we would love to ask Senator Lyndsey Graham, if he were here, is probably the biggest one for me, the Supreme Court.
Senator Graham, you have voiced opposition to the Obama administration's appointments in the cabinet and the Supreme Court. How did you vote?
And I know we do have some record of that, and Mr. Graham, I believe, did vote to support the Obama nominees. Yes, right. So that directly leading to Obamacare being upheld as the law of the land, unfortunately. Well, that's it with the question and answer session with Senator Lyndsey Graham. We're sorry that he wasn't more involved, if you will. Want to move on now. Well, first let's talk for a second about Obamacare, and that's one of the big reasons that we're here tonight. There's going to be a call to action at the end of the meeting, and this is an opportunity for Senator Graham to take action, to sign Senator Mike Lee's pledge that he will not vote for any piece of legislation that funds Obamacare in any way. This is the last-ditch effort to stop Obamacare. Let me tell you what Obamacare means for South Carolina families. According to thestate.com, when Obamacare is implemented in the state, it will cause individual market premiums for health insurance to go up by 50 to 70%, essentially moving health insurance out of the affordability range for the average middle-class family. Bottom line, do not lose your health insurance at work. You won't be able to afford to have it. What's more, the small market plans will go up when Obamacare is implemented between 10 and 20%, also pricing regular middle American families, many of them out of the health insurance market, as well as companies that would like to insure their workers. What's the solution for that if we're not going to defund Obamacare and stop it in its tracks? No answer. All right. So anyway, we don't have an answer on that. It'd be great to get an answer on that. I would like to give you an opportunity to vent, because this town hall is as much about him as it is about you and the things that you would like to tell your senator. If you were a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, he would talk to you in an open forum. So I want to give everyone an opportunity to do that. If you have a comment for the senator, if you have a question for the senator, we're going to give folks 90 seconds, and we do have a buzzer, and Renee is going to be the enforcer. But we're going to write this stuff down, and we're going to disseminate it to the media, and we're going to give it to Senator Graham as well, so he still would have a chance to answer your questions if he chose.
Testing? 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 Can you hear me? Okay, good. Anybody have any questions? You want to ask Senator Graham?
She's ready.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to ask Senator Graham, if he's so concerned about finding the terrorists in this country, why aren't they listening in on the mosque? And why did he go to Egypt to demand the Muslim Brotherhood be put back in power, which is the father of Al-Qaeda and Hamas and most of today's terrorist organizations, if he's so concerned? Quite frankly, I think he's blackmailed. That's my personal opinion. And I'd like to ask him why his staff is so rude. When I called D.C., the guy gets nasty. When I went to Mount Pleasant a month ago to beg him to stop this amnesty held at the end of the nation, and even explain to her how biblically it is so wrong to grant amnesty, she rolled her eyes when I mentioned the Bible, which is so infuriating. And I'd also like to ask him why they're going to start allowing these Syrian, quote, refugees to come here, which is, again, Al-Qaeda.
No response. We'll keep trying though. All right, next question.
Senator Graham, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
The Heritage Corporation and other entities are willing to give out free copies of the Constitution. I have one here. I understand that they also gave every congressman a free copy. Do you have yours? And do you know have you read it? Do you understand it? Do you follow it just as the rest of us do and would like you to do? That's my question. And on top of that, do you realize that you are allowing Obama and Holder get away with violating the Constitution, and you do nothing about it except go along and vote along with them? I'd like your comments on the Constitution, sir.
Oh no, wait, I heard something. Lyndsey says that this cardboard cutout has been made with shredded pieces of the Constitution recycled. It's very green.
Make sure he knows that applause isn't for him.
All right, next question.
Yes, I just want to thank Lyndsey Graham for all the 24 matching form letters I've received.
All right, next question. Or comment.
Can you hear me?
I would just like to ask Senator Graham something very simple. I look at Washington as a law-abiding American citizen, and I see every damn, pardon my French, one of those people up there breaking the law and getting away with it. Why in the heck am I, as a law-abiding citizen, why am I supposed to respect the law when our quote-unquote leaders do not? When every time they have a government employee out there gets caught doing something, they're put on paid administrative leave. Why should we respect the law when our leaders don't? Someone please tell me that.
All right, another question for Senator Lyndsey Graham.
Senator Graham, I'd just like to ask a question as a law-abiding citizen. What are you doing to protect my rights to keep my guns and to bear arms that I am protected by the Constitution? What are you doing to support that?
Okay, next question.
Senator Graham, I wanted to ask this question, first of all, because I'd like to know what an IRS audit is like, and second of all, because I think it would help us frame your legislative philosophy so we'd understand, rather than asking these individual questions, where you actually stand and why you're doing what you're doing. So my question is, your friend John McCain, when he was at a town hall in Wisconsin, while he was running for president, after TARP, when there was a giant crony capitalist takeover of the banking system that you voted for, he was asked by a guy in the crowd, Senator, are you concerned, like many of us are, that there are socialists in Washington, D.C. who may use this economic disaster as an opportunity to try to undermine our constitutional republic? Your good friend John McCain responded, my friends, I'm going to reach across the aisle. My question for you, Senator Graham, is do you share Senator McCain's legislative philosophy that the consensus-based environment of the United States Senate requires you to make common cause with those that are actively and openly undermining our Constitution? Or do you believe, as I do, that your oath of office requires you, Senator Graham, to openly defend them or openly defend the Constitution against them? Thank you.
Great question. It's a good question because there have been some members of Congress who have said that they're going to reject the federal special for politicians plan to go on the one that everybody else does, including Robert Pittenger, Representative Pittenger out of Charlotte. So that is an option for Lyndsey Graham. Will he be doing that, or will he be taking the health care plan that we have to pay for but don't have access to? Great question. Maybe the senator will weigh on it some point in the future. Okay, next question.
Got one over here. I have two questions if I can get away with it. One, I'd like to go back to a subject that was brought up earlier by a white-headed gentleman over on the other side. And that's on all this immigration mess. We've got absolutely no business giving amnesty to anybody until that border is totally, completely secure. That Reagan accepted, that fence still isn't built. And he was supposed to get it in '86. We're not getting anywhere fast with that. And my second question would be, when is the Congress going to get off its tail and let's start bringing people and putting them in the damn jails, and quit giving them passes. We've got people right now that are on taking full draw of their salary, pleading the Fifth Amendment and not not doing their job. And we need to get rid of them. Just absolutely get rid of them. Look what Reagan did. They told Reagan, you cannot fire the air traffic controller. Next morning, he fired them.
Fine, gentlemen.
And the new ones that came in knew that they better take care or they were going to get fired. And we need to do the same thing.
All right, fantastic. Any other questions, comments for our Senator, Lyndsey Graham?
Hi, my name is William Crane. I live in Myrtle. I just moved to Myrtle Beach from our inspector state. This may seem a little arcane.
Can you talk louder?
Microphone.
Hey,
Microphone.
My name is William Crane. Can you hear it?
Talking
Hello, can you hear that?
Help me.
You want to try the podium?
Is that up here? Yeah. Go ahead.
Must be a government microphone, doesn't work.
Can you hear me now? Yes. My name is William Crane. I just recently moved here from our inspector state, Pennsylvania. We love them up there. Anyway, this may seem a little arcane. It's a letter I wrote to the senator, and I haven't received an answer for it. Senator Graham, there has been numerous reports in the press and on television that in 2010, before the national election, Senators Max Baucus and Charles Schumer wrote letters to the Internal Revenue Service requesting that the IRS investigate the tax-free status of organizations containing the words Tea Parties and other types of concerned organizations. These same outlets report that this was widely known throughout Washington, D.C., including the House and the Senate. I believe this raises questions that I hope you will answer. One, were you aware of these letters in 2010? And two, when were you first aware of them? It seems to me that a lot of this stuff was going around about trying to target conservatives. And I don't think Lyndsey Graham is a major supporter of conservative organizations. So if in fact he had knowledge that this was being done and didn't speak out, I think that's something we need to know.
All right, any other questions for our Senator Lyndsey Graham? Not very talkative tonight, we apologize for that.
This isn't so much, my name is Roy Jessup from Goose Creek. This isn't so much a question, but it's a statement. Senator Graham, if you and the rest of your Senate colleagues who have not signed on to the Mike Lee and Ted Cruz initiative to defund Obamacare because you're taking the word of Karl Rove and a lot of Washington pundits and insiders that tell you that that's a battle that can't be won. Well, if you would show up at events like this, if you and your colleagues would get out and meet the people and sense the movement to defund Obamacare, you could go in there positive that your vote will stand. And I know that there's a lot of Democrats that would be voting with the Republicans. The Republicans need to stand strong. That's it. They need to stand strong. They need to fight this battle. You're over there in Egypt worrying about fighting a battle in Syria. Well, there's a battle to be fought right here in Washington, D.C. against Obama.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments or questions? I saw a couple of hands over here.
I just want to ask the senator who's going to show up to the primary debate.
That's an excellent question. We believe that his staff is probably watching this streaming live online. Senator? He's not committed yet.
I think he's getting tired though. Just bring him left. He's got a little pen.
Mr. Graham, Mr. Graham, can you hear me better?
I hear you.
It's on. I'll just be loud.
Yeah.
When will you and the rest of the progressives in the Republican Party leave it and leave us a better place?
Any other comments or questions for the senator? Could you pass the microphone or, well,
I'll sound off. How about that?
All right.
5 years ago, I joined the Army to get medical training as an Army medic and enter the healthcare industry for a career. She and I both traveled up here. We're in school, full-time training, working towards a master's degree, possibly beyond, to provide all of you folks with healthcare. What do you say to those of us who are in healthcare about the projection that approximately 10 to 15% of hospitals are going to immediately go into the red upon full implementation of Obamacare, and those of us whose jobs and the job markets that we're going to be entering into are at risk because of this law? What do you say to us? We're working hard, incurring debt. I've gone overseas and fought a war last year to be able to pay to go to college to go into the healthcare industry, and now my job and my future is at risk because of bad legislation, thousands of pages long that nobody's read. What do you say to us?
All right, you got a question?
Well, I have a question. I've got a comment. I spent 26 years of my life in defense of this country, probably 6 or 7 years underneath the water, and every time I see our senator wearing his uniform and knowing what his record is, I want to throw up.
All right, any other comments and questions? You've got one more? Okay. I don't know what you do.
You gave us this sheet that said the top 10 bad votes. You missed the worst one, and that was his vote on Obamacare. It's not listed. I'm sorry, that wasn't the one I wanted to hit. I wanted to hit the fact that he went along with the border deal. And that's not on.
And helped write that bill as part of the Gang of 8. Yeah. Absolutely. I have a question, because I'm here and I'm a constituent, so I'll ask it too. This bothered me for many years. In the Washington Post, Lyndsey Graham and Senator Chuck Schumer, about 2 years ago, wrote in defense of and support of the requirement that every one of you here in the United States of America would have to get a biometric ID. Yes. In his words, in order to work.
Don't take the ID to the polls, though. You don't need it.
No, don't do that. Was that prophesied? He said that Americans should be willing to do that as a condition to work. They tried that once and didn't work out so well.
Biometrics is what we do to the Afghans. Just so you know.
What'd you say?
Biometrics is what we use to identify terrorists in Afghanistan.
Oh, okay. Well, so it works. The system works great then. It's fantastic. All right, good. So they'll know who we are. Yeah, and NSA will know who you are too. So that's great. All right. Any other comments? Any other questions? We're gonna wrap this up. What should we do? One more, and that's it.
Just a quick comment. We don't want to secure the border first. We want to secure the border, period. Because if you secure the border and you give them amnesty, they can legally send for all their family members, and it will matter if the border is secure. So secure the border and deport. Does everybody ever heard of Operation Wetback in 1953 by Dwight D. Eisenhower? We had about 3 million illegals then. For 3 months, he aggressively arrested 1,000 illegals a day. He put them on a steamer and dropped them 500 miles south of the border, and he also deported their kids. Their kids that are born here are not U.S. citizens. If you go to the Congressional Club of 1866 and look up Jacob Howard, who wrote the line subject to the jurisdiction thereof, he is recorded as saying this would not include children born to foreigners, aliens, etc. We're supposed to look to the original intent. Thank you.
All right. Well, we hate that Lyndsey wasn't more talkative this evening, but I'm sure he's thinking very deeply about everything, all the feedback that you've been able to give him. A couple of points. We still would love to have a real town hall with our Senator Lyndsey Graham. That invitation is still open. Time and place of his choosing. If he feels better sneaking in under cover of darkness, we'll do it in the middle of the night. Whatever works for his schedule. I know the folks at Freedom Works and the folks who organized this tonight would be willing to have this conversation with our senator. And then in conclusion, I want to remind everyone that we will send all the questions asked in a copy of the video to Senator Graham's office. So he is going to get your questions. They've already watched it online, I guarantee you. And then a call to action. There is something that you can do. You can call Senator Lyndsey Graham's office and encourage him to defund Obamacare, and we'll have all of the ways that you can do that in this flyer. You can get that on the way out. Just want to thank everyone for coming. Anything else I've forgotten or haven't gotten to?
Well, we tell Lyndsey that we were searching for weapons when we came in. He really doesn't have to be afraid.
That's right, we were searching for weapons. Fantastic. Yeah, well, you wouldn't want to get tackled or anything. Right, okay. All right, so fantastic. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and hopefully we will at some time be able to see our senator in public, live and real, like the Muslim Brotherhood.
He's on the Sunday shows 3 or 4 times a weekend, so it's easy to see him.
Yeah. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. We really do appreciate it.